Hello, friends, family, and everyone in between. Welcome to episode 17. Did not mean for that to rhyme, but here we are. I made Maya sit down with me again this episode because I've done enough solo dolo and I wanted a friend. So we ended up getting some food, and then I was like, all right, let's get into it. And we talk a little bit about actually a lot of it about romanticizing life and why the little details and the small things matter and are beautiful. We talk about kind of before that a little bit of her interest in photography and how that kind of mixes with the idea that you find the beauty in the little things. And also just what it looks like, what it would look like to raise a kid with unlimited funds, how weird childhood is, how young you're exposed to kind of shit you shouldn't be exposed to. It's been a bunch of fun. You get to listen to Maya attempt to smoothly ASMR open a Topo Chico, and I'll just let you experience that on your own. I'm not going to really give much more than that. But I had a lot of fun. I love being able to bring my friends on with me and just kind of goof off. This one felt like a good mix of unserious and meaningful, and we kind of lose it at the end. I'm not gonna lie, it gets a little loopy and we gotta cut it short. I say cut it short, but it's like a 2-hour episode, but we had to cut it. So yeah, that being said, it was a lot of fun. Maya, thank you as always for coming on, and I hope you guys enjoy. Happy Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll catch you next time. See you later. Bye. Love you. Peace. Would you rather always know when someone is lying or always get away with lying?
That's light work.
So just me twice?
I don't think I could live with knowing when people are lying, because I feel like the less I know, the better. And so I'm gonna go
That's
with
so real, Tame Impala.
I for my own sake and for my own headspace, I'm gonna go with just getting away with lying.
I'm the exact opposite.
Really?
I couldn't exist knowing that I was threading lies constantly.
I couldn't either, but I also couldn't live with constantly knowing if people are lying to me. I feel like I would drive myself insane.
I feel like...
Well, great, now I just a shitty person.
No, because that's not saying you would use the power.
I'm not gonna do it to, be a bad person, but but I also wouldn't want to constantly know when someone's lying. It's like, it's like asking me if I want to be able to read people's minds, and I absolutely would not.
Well, I feel like there's a difference between reading someone's mind versus knowing they're lying. They don't share everything with you, but more or less when they do share something, you can know immediately if they're telling the truth.
That's true. I guess that does sound better in the end.
I would rather have that. I feel like I got a good sniffer on me already.
Yeah.
For the bullshit.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to get that validation.
I'm just already a overthinker in my head type person, so I just feel like knowing that I'd just drive myself insane. But then I guess I wouldn't have to drive myself insane. I was
going to say that, yeah.
Because I already know.
You would just know.
So,
you wouldn't have to overthink anything.
Okay, fine. I'll go with that one. That sounds better.
Listen, my vendetta was not to change your mind on
that.
Well,
it worked. Hope you're happy. Now I can't go offline.
What if I already am so good at lying?
One of these don't apply to me.
Would you rather lose all the photos you've ever taken or forget all your favorite songs? That is not true.
Oh wow, that's really hard. I'd probably have to go. I'd probably go with songs.
Me too.
Pictures are like everything to me. I can't even. I'm so bad at deleting pictures. I don't even care if I accidentally swipe a picture of you.
Mm-hmm.
Little drive-by photo. But
That's funny.
definitely songs. I feel like
Yeah.
you can always find new music, but pictures are forever.
I feel like it says like forget, so like you could relearn them. I
Right.
would assume.
Yeah.
Like, you just like, let's say you forget they exist and it wipes your Spotify, so you don't have like a catalog of them.
Yeah.
You would just have to like dive back in.
Honestly,
I guess.
that sounds awesome. 'Cause
Yeah.
you get to relive
Yeah.
that like first song, or a few songs that you've like probably really love, and then you're like, this is beautiful.
You'd just be constantly behind everyone.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Did
You guys
hear
heard about
Party Rock
21
Anthem?
Pilots? Party Rock Anthem.
Have you guys heard this 1-800 song by Logic?
By Logic. This Tayo Cruz guy is gonna be huge. That's really fucking funny. Oh,
It's my go-to karaoke song. 1-800. Whatever the rest of the numbers are by
yeah,
Logic.
you're so good at it. Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, my go-to karaoke
That's
song
my
goes.
go-to karaoke. I
Whatever.
forgot the song. Okay, give me a break.
I already picked.
It's already gone.
Would you rather get your dream job but never fall in love, or fall in love and never advance in your career?
But I love love.
I love love.
But where
And
do
I
I
love a bag.
Probably the job.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's hard. Because it's like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, yeah, I'm in love, but like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go in life besides in love?
That's the beautiful thing about woman privilege.
I guess,
You just
yeah.
gotta find the one that.
I mean, if I
got
can
it
be like
all.
a stay-at-home mom,
See?
live like a don't worry darling life,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. I'll be fine.
I would pick fall in love and never advance my career. I think.
As a bag chaser, I'm surprised to hear that.
You know it is. I think I would be happier in like a rink-a-dink house where we have to be the one to like
Yeah.
keep up the maintenance and live off the land or whatever, and then have like really fulfilling relationships in my life versus being alone and
Right.
working.
I guess I was thinking that in like I guess I was always raised in a house where like you provide for yourself. So if you don't, then like what
You're
are you?
fucked.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what are you really living for?
Yeah.
But I love love. I'm like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like that's for me. But yeah, I would absolutely understand that. Cuz that's a boring life.
Yeah, and I watched my dad raise a family of 5 off of a income of a Costco cashier.
Yeah.
So, like,
Make
I
it
didn't
work,
I didn't
yeah.
I didn't hate life, you know. I wasn't suffering. I mean,
That's understandable.
there were times, but
Right.
I don't look back on it poorly.
Yeah. Again, I feel like there's just context behind them. Like these questions, it's kind of hard because I'm like, well, am I going to live like a happy stay-at-home wife type of life, or am I going to be, can I still meet people at this job?
Right. Well, you
Can
wouldn't fall
you
in
say-
love.
Right. You wouldn't fall in love, but
You'd meet people.
you'd meet people.
I think this is perfect. I want to springboard off this. If you had the choice to be a stay-at-home mom and not worry about money, like let's say you're not living in a mansion,
Right.
but you're not struggling, would you take it, or would you feel like you would kind of go crazy and have to have some sort of work?
Oh, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely take that.
Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, screw whoever fought for women's rights, you know. I didn't ask for this. I
all that
have a
suffrage.
full-time job and I'm still fighting for it. So, absolutely. I
Mhm.
feel like I already have so many hobbies that I like to do.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'd never get bored. I also love being at home and just in my room and like doing dry clay or painting.
I
or
feel like
whatever.
there's a mom listening, laughing at the idea of having a hobby.
Yeah,
like you'll have
she was
time.
like, yeah, good luck, babe.
Oh, you think you're gonna get bored? I
Like-
can't hear myself.
I haven't slept in 36 days.
Yeah, I think the rarely discussed position of stay-at-home dad is not
Yeah.
developed enough.
You guys don't get those.
Have fun at work, babe. I'm gonna play monster trucks with the kids until you get home. Hope corporate America is treating you well.
I know sometimes I see like videos of like stay-at-home dads, and I'm like, good for you, you know, because I feel like it's always the moms,
Right.
but you will not catch me being corporate mommy
Yeah.
while daddy's at home playing monster trucks.
You're the one who picked Back Chaser. I'm just saying.
Well, I changed my mind.
I changed my mind. Chachi said I'm allowed to change my mind.
But
No, yeah, I think, and that's where I'm at a weird, like, fork in the road with that. Because if I had the choice, not let's say like to be a stay-at-home dad, but just say I had enough money
right,
to where I didn't need to worry about money ever again,
yeah,
and I could choose to just purely only be a father, I feel like I would still want a project or
Yeah.
something that I was doing, even if that was like taking care of like the land or the house or whatever the fuck it
land.
is. Yeah. I would still want something. I feel like I would get kind of stir crazy unless, I don't know, like I find myself in a position where I'm like coaching sports teams for my kids or something.
Yeah, I think
like
there's
that.
so many options, like
Mhm.
PTA mom,
Yeah.
coach
Yeah,
dad,
yeah.
like
PTA mom and coach dad.
like there's options. You don't always have to be at home going like stir crazy, but sometimes I feel like that's just the way the name of the game is with kids. But it also depends like how old the kids are, you know.
Yeah, that's everything.
I couldn't probably handle like 2 newborn babies.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine that life.
Some
but
having triplets.
oh, Whew.
The other night, talking with a friend,
Mhm.
she mentioned that she had cousins who were triplets,
Wow.
and it was a IVF mishap. It wasn't planned. They were trying to have one kid because they already had 3, so they were trying to have their 4th kid, and they ended up having 6 because the last kid ended up being an IVF mishap.
Holy cow.
And so they're not even identical. It's like just 3 more kids.
That is insane. I don't know what it was a show. Was it Friends where someone got pregnant? Don't quote me. I don't know if it was that show, but someone got pregnant and they were like, "Can we only have one?" And she was like pregnant with like 3 babies. They're like,
Oh.
"We only wanted one. Can we just have one of them?"
That sounds like something Phoebe would say.
Oh, I think it was when Rachel and Monica and Chandler were trying to get pregnant, and they were going through the what's it called?
Oh, like
a surrogate?
surrogate, yeah.
Yeah, and she was pregnant with like 3 kids or something. I think. I don't know. But I think that's really funny. I couldn't even, oh my God, I couldn't even imagine that. Giving birth to one child is probably already a fucking whirlwind.
I don't think I ever will wrap my head around the fact that I just don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just an experience that half the world has the opportunity to go through and is simultaneously like terrifying and
Yeah.
supposedly also like the most magical thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, nah.
Nah. That's what I say, dude. Like, I'm not doing that shit for anybody. Women pass away from giving birth.
Yeah. Crazy.
No.
That's like a buzzer
it's
beater.
terrible. It's terrifying.
So you're a surrogate or nothing?
Don't ask me
Lay
these
it all out on the
questions.
line. Surrogate or nothing?
Don't ask me these questions.
You wanted to dive in?
Would you die for this?
Would you die for this? You love this shit. Have you ever thought about how you would raise a kid if you had like just unlimited funds, like buku bucks?
Still humble for sure. I don't want kids.
Yeah, real as fuck, but I mean more or less like What school are you sending?
Right. Okay. So Courtell Elementary for sure. And then I'm thinking Joel Walker Middle School. What do you mean?
How'd you raise your kids if you had
A
unlimited
Montessori
money?
preschool for sure.
Sorry, I'm never gonna get over that. How'd you raise your kids if you had unlimited money? Humble.
I don't know.
Real. They'd have that shit on.
I don't want them to become like little spoiled brats. Is what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get what you
I
meant. It
don't
was
know
just
what
such a
else you
funny
mean.
answer.
I don't know.
No, like, would you homeschool them? Would you travel the world with them? Would you hire private chefs, like stuff like that? Where I'm like, what kind of lifestyle? If you could curate the perfect lifestyle for a kid.
Okay.
So that's what I was thinking, and you were like, humble, real as fuck.
As a nanny already, I probably would. I would spend the most time with my kids. I mean, schools are scary in general with the world we live in. But I've met some pretty weird homeschooled people, so I'd probably send them to school.
Yeah.
You also just can't shield them from everything.
Yeah.
So I would definitely send them to school. I wouldn't like homeschool them regardless of how much money I had.
But would you send them to like a bougie school, or would you try to send them to like a kind of decent public school so they can build a little bit of that toughness?
You know what? That's scary. Because I went to Courtzel High School. I got a lot of toughness built into me from that.
The bougiest one in the valley.
I would did not feel like it. There was a lot of fights.
Should have came to Lancaster. Fuck. Should have went to Pete Night.
I would probably send them. I don't know, because I don't want them to have to wear a uniform. Like, I want them to express themselves in their own clothes. But I think I would also try to send them to like a nicer public school if those are an option.
If those exist.
If those exist by then. Yeah. I would say that. I don't really think I'd get a chef. I like cooking. I enjoy
That's
that.
Fair. Yeah. But like a maid for the laundry?
You know what? Depends how many kids and how messy they are.
Hell no.
And
One
how
kid,
much...
maid.
Okay. I would probably get a maid. I feel like a maid is doable. That's helpful in a sense. Like, take a little bit of load off of you.
Oh yeah.
Pun intended.
Oh yeah.
Wink, wink. Yeah, I would get a maid for sure, but no chef or anything like that. I'd probably get like a piano teacher.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, some private lessons.
Yeah, for sure, some ballet in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
let your imagination run wild.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing the vision.
I already have a daughter in my head, but
I already have a daughter. My son's so good at ballet. Timmy will be down when he's done serving cunt.
The chef, does he need to eat? He's been eating all day.
Girl, he already ate. There are no crumbs.
He's like, I have to put in my 2 weeks.
Mom, I want to play football.
Not now, Timmy. You're serving.
You're serving.
Yeah. What about you?
It's hard. I like to lie to myself and think that I could do some sort of lifestyle where they're homeschooled and simultaneously somehow exposed enough to develop a social skill set. Because one of my things when I went to school was I always felt like the curriculum was either way too easy or way too like disengaging. No, go ahead. Hold it. ASMR. Oh my god.
This is a Topo Chico. Exotic pineapple.
This is not an ad.
Let's hope I don't break a nail.
Oh god.
Oh my.
Oh my god. We shortly interrupt this broadcast. Worst can opening I've ever heard.
kind of hurt. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, that was painful.
Continue.
Sorry. Can someone time how long it took Maya to open the Topo Chico? Get back to me, please.
Listen, I'm like halfway propped up right now. I'm leaning on my shoulder, so don't make fun of me. Continue.
Okay, what was I saying? I want to. Oh yeah,
social skills.
Well, when I went to school, shit would get explained, at least in elementary school, and I was like, cool, got it. Next lesson, please. And then I'd have to wait a week rather
you were just
than
that quick with it, huh? You're like, oh, I already know this.
Jesus.
They're like, he doesn't actually need to be in school.
2 + 2 is 4. What's next? 5?
Did I conquer this already?
Did I conquer this already? Yeah. No, So I don't know. I would like to think that I would provide my kid with an education that matches the speed of their learning, even if that is slower or faster, whatever it may be. I feel like having that, you're automatically going to learn faster, even if in a regular classroom setting you would learn slower per se, because that environment's not going to.
Well, there's not like a lot of one-on-one with kids these days with that kind of stuff, so it is harder to get them to learn quicker.
And then I would like to think, so I like to imagine that if you have a one-on-one tutor for this kid that teaches like all the basic needed curriculum, basically, like, let's just say like everything up until your high school diploma, you can like learn from a or multiple tutors. I would like to think with that extra time, because they're not going through the typical like public school experience, you'd have more opportunities to sign them up for like sports or clubs or team building activities, like you know, go play with the kids in the neighborhood or whatever. But I don't know. I just like don't know how much like exposure is enough for them to develop a normal social like skill set.
I think just getting them out there in general. I mean, I also fear with being home all the time of separation anxiety, because when I nanny, there's a lot of kids who are at home all the time and the parents never leave them, and they're screaming and crying for 8 hours. Or we don't let them cry that long, but like 30 minutes in, we're like, hey, you gotta come get your kid. Like, they've been
freaking out.
I had one kid that he was, I think, a year old, maybe a little younger. He would scream and cry so hard he was making himself almost throw up. And he's a baby. He's still in a diaper. And he would shake. And he would turn really red. Oh my God. And as soon as his mom walked in, nothing.
What the fuck?
And at that point, there was no tears even. Like, it was just him literally giving himself an anxiety attack at such a young age. How? And I'm scared of that, of like being, if I were to be in that situation of being home all the time, where that's how my kid acts. And you know, that I don't want that.
Yeah.
So,
and then also at the same time, like, you have to like, if you were to try to go the private teaching route, you would also have to like trust an adult.
Yeah, which
with
is
your kid.
Also scary, because you don't know these people.
Yeah.
You gotta have like faith and just trust that they're not gonna be
a fucking
weirdos.
Yeah. And at least with like public school, or like just schools in general, there's that like accountability of multiple
that background
adults
check and stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think outside of that, I would try to encourage some sort of advanced learning. I feel like public schools are just what we have, not the best we could do. And I think if you take a kid and you put them in a curated environment for learning, I'm pretty sure you could get a kid to like essentially get to the equivalent of a diploma by like 14.
Right.
And then from there, it's like, okay, now you can either continue pursuing education and literally have a bachelor's by the time you're 18, or like completely dedicate yourself to a passion or an art or a sport, or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, sports are a like dead set,
Mhm.
non-negotiable must have, especially if you have boys, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because I think that there is a direct correlation with boys who don't have like some sort of sport or club or activity and like being a troublemaker, which if continued throughout adult years then turns into essentially like getting yourself into trouble or
Yeah.
in jail. And I don't know, I think like there's so many like fun social skills that I've learned from like being on a baseball team
Mhm.
that pertain to how to deal with groups of people, what to do when someone gets a little too competitive, like how
Right.
to gauge a situation strategically, not just like how to throw a rock.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're a competitive person?
Yes, in certain contexts, but I don't like, I don't know. It's I only like I've found myself the older I get only really enjoying competitiveness in really certain contexts.
Mhm.
Because if there's a noticeable skill gap between me and the other person, whether that be um most of the time if like I'm much better at something than the other person I'm with, I don't want to
Right.
lean into any competitiveness because it feels disrespectful.
What if they're winning though?
But if someone is noticeably better than me in something and a good sport about it, then I love that. Like
Yeah.
I'll give you my best and hopefully do better than average.
Right.
But I don't know, like men have egos. And so trying to like encourage a healthy competitive environment with adult men
Yeah.
is rare because most of the time they're either going to take it too far or get their
Mhm.
feelings hurt,
Mhm.
and then no one's having fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have experienced fun and healthy competitive situations, and in those scenarios, yes, absolutely, I love
Mhm.
it. But I don't know, like I'm super big on emotional control,
Mhm.
and I feel like those situations lead to a lack of control of your emotions pretty quick.
Yeah. I see. I'm just there for a good time.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on, and I'm like, cool, I'll play.
Mm-hmm.
Like my brain just like, as long as I'm having fun, but the minute like someone gets too competitive and it's getting weird
Right.
and feels intense,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't like this. Like it's just a game.
Yeah.
We're just bowling. We're
Yeah.
just throwing some
It's always
balls.
bowling.
Like it's always bowling, man. Or like mini golf.
Yeah.
Everyone gets so serious. I just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
My brain just goes like, ha 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 ha. Ha.
Do you have things you get competitive over?
No, I'm
Really?
not. I've never been a sports person. I barely grasp the concept of like board games most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
My brother loves to play like different board games, and he's like, here's this fish, cow, and egg game. And immediately when he starts like going into like all these instructions, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I can play some like Go Fish.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. But no, like I really don't play a lot of games in general.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I can probably think of is volleyball.
Really?
Yeah, I used to play a lot when I was younger. When we go to Mammoth every year at the fireman's picnic,
Mm-hmm.
and so it'd just be like us, like my family, or like family against family, or like kids against kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, I'm good at this.
Mm-hmm.
And so like
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably get like slightly competitive, but not in a way where I was like getting upset or throwing tantrums or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even care if we lost. I wouldn't care if we won.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I was just trying to do my best
Yeah. Like
and show that I'm good at it.
yes, exactly.
And so that was the only thing. But even at that, I'm just like, this is fun.
Have you played volleyball with my family before?
No.
I couldn't remember if you had ever
I feel like
came
just
around for that.
last year I started getting pretty close with your family.
Because have you been to my cousin's like house that we host all of our holidays at?
In LA? Or where
it's
is
like
it?
Woodland Hills ish area.
No.
Okay, they have a big front yard and they have a volleyball court
Oh, fun.
in it, and I've been playing volleyball every like major holiday like my whole life.
Oh yeah.
And so it's literally the perfect like thing for that same exact situation. I would have played volleyball through high school if it wasn't the same season as baseball.
Right.
But
I tried out when I was in high school. I tried out in high school, and I think I was like one of the last few where they kind of cancel people out. But then they ended up choosing everyone that was already on the team, like that had tried out previously that were already on like a volleyball team.
So okay.
So I didn't make it. I also tried out for soccer. Didn't make that one either. I was just never a sporty gal.
When did you first start attempting the sports though?
Probably middle school. I was a cheerleader in middle school. I was always into like gymnastics when I was younger. I was pretty buff when I was young.
Look at you.
I could do one-handed pull-ups.
What the fuck?
As like an 8-year-old.
Freak ass 8-year-old.
I had full-on like biceps.
Hell yeah.
And then I was in middle school cheer. And then I was going to try out in high school, but then I was in high school and I met the cheerleaders and I was like, it's not for me. I had already gotten bullied in middle school cheer. So I was like, no.
I want to upgrade it.
Yeah, I was like, let's make it worse. No, but I don't know. I just never was a big sports person. I never really enjoyed the people like brought me around or like the audiences.
You never found
around.
like the right environment for
it. I just didn't really like it. I don't know. But I loved yearbook.
I'm competitive as fuck in yearbook.
Yeah, that was like the only. Yeah, I was like a yearbook photographer in high school. I did
artsy girl.
AP art.
AP art.
Yeah, I did AP art.
College
1
credit,
and
bitch.
2. Yep, I tried to go to art school when I was in high school. After I was graduating, I was like, I want to go to art school. I was trying to be a Disney animator. And then my parents were like, you're not gonna make enough money. Sorry, Mom. You're probably right, but
not a real bag chaser. Not my daughter.
She's like, of course she wants to be a stay-at-home mom.
How much does that pay?
It pays in happiness.
Fulfillment. It was funny, like growing up with sports. I started baseball when I was like really young. Like
really, yeah.
I mean, we were fucking around with like glove, ball, bat in my backyard when I was like 2 or 3, and then I got into like an actual league when I was 4, and I didn't stop playing until
4?
I was like
That's
19.
That's so cute, though.
Yeah,
I love that.
And it was like, of course, like when you sign up for like T-ball or coach pitch, it's all just funsies.
It's just cute.
Yeah.
It's like, try to hit that.
Yeah,
see
exactly.
Where it goes.
Oh, nope, you're running to third base. But what we didn't realize, like, as kids and probably even as parents, is you were already developing the skills, like, during that. Because when we were, like, 11... you could tell what kids started playing baseball when they were 7 versus when they were 4.
Yeah.
Like there was a clear gap.
This is how I know you've had like a happy childhood. Because you had things like, Dad was teaching me how to play baseball today. It's like my mom was fighting for her life with 2 jobs in an apartment in Lancaster with 3 kids. Dad wasn't around. Like we couldn't even go outside.
All we had was yearbook.
We couldn't even go outside because we always hear gunshots. Like,
don't get me wrong. We had to move out of our neighborhood.
But I was never like put into that as a kid because we always had so much going on. Like there was no time for that. My mom didn't even make enough money for that. And then we met my stepdad and we had to deal with like his ex-wife and his kids and stuff like that. And there was just no time ever. Yeah. So I feel like I had to kind of venture out on my own to figure out what I was good at. And then I'm like, sports, no. Photography, yeah.
the cheap hobby.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, that kind of like, I don't know. I think that just speaks on if you want your kid to be somewhat competitive in anything that they do, and I don't mean competitive in terms of like having a competitive personality, but like
Yeah.
being able to keep up with
Stuff like
like
that.
really skillful
Yeah.
kids of the same age. You need to start them like super young. Like the
Mhm.
kids who like learn piano and violin when they're like toddlers
Yeah.
essentially, and then by the time they're 12 they're like
That's like
a
one thing I
master.
wish my parents would have kind of like pushed on to me, because I started teaching myself piano when I was like 15, 16, I don't
Mhm.
know. And I still don't really know a lot. Like I can't read notes or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I feel like that's where I kind of go back, where it was like I had to teach myself
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of figure out what I like to do and where I like aspects that I was good in. And like I love anything creative, and then it comes to sports and you just lose me so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun. I'll participate, but like
Right.
in no way will I get competitive about like football, whereas like trying to learn a song on the piano, I get frustrated because I'm like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
I feel like I should know this, or I feel like I need to do this over and over again so I get good at it. And then I have friends that come over and play the piano or can like sing, and I'm like, oh my god, whatever, just get it out of here.
There's that competitive nature.
I'm like, there it is.
Yeah, and I mean that's also kind of that direct correlation of, I don't know, once you escape a certain age of childhood, you start to develop this sort of mindset where things are only fun if you're good at them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, oh, if I pick up a ball and try and throw it and I'm not enjoying myself,
Right.
it's usually because you're not like seeing success. But when you're a kid, you don't even realize that you don't care if you're good or not.
Yeah.
You're like giggling with your friends and having fun.
Right.
And that's kind of like when you put the hours in.
When
So
you lock in.
when you're on your grind set at 3. But then by the time you're like actually developing that competitive nature where you care about if you're good, a lot of the times you've already been doing that thing
Right.
by a young age, and then that's where that starts to come in. So that's, I feel like a lot of people, maybe yourself included, are like one like rough little beginning
Mm-hmm.
hump away from like a new hobby that you really enjoy.
Right.
Just because like if you can get through that like beginner's curve,
Yeah.
and you start to see some like consistent success in something, then you're like, holy shit, I never thought I would enjoy,
Right.
blank soccer or whatever.
This actually makes me want to talk about something else that's like a complete 180. Not.
Do it.
It's a TV show that recently came out called Adolescence.
Oh, I've
Adolescence?
heard of that.
What's it called?
Adolescence, I believe.
Adolescence?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another S at the end of that.
I can
But it's
verify for you.
About a 13-year-old who is on trial for murder. And it kind of got me thinking about like
Yes.
us talking about
adolescence.
like social skills in schools and
Mhm.
like kind of exposing them to that and like what they learn when they do go to schools like that.
Mhm.
Because a big part of the show is, I'll try not to spoil anything, is like teaching kids at home about things, but then sending them to public schools where you have no control of things they're seeing
Right.
or learning
Right.
from other kids in school
Right.
is like absolutely terrifying to
Yeah.
me, because after watching that show it was devastating.
Yeah.
I don't think I've cried that hard from a Netflix show in a really long time, but it's a pretty gnarly show. You should
Mhm.
watch it if you have the time, but that's one thing that scares me. But again, like I was saying, you can't shield them.
No.
So
yeah.
it's like, how do you even?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
You
like,
can't always look at their phones and like what they're looking
No.
at or control of that, and it's like, how do you even? It's scary.
How young were you when you first started getting exposed to like adult content? Not just like per se
Right.
pornography, but like anything along the lines of like even watching, like seeing people do drugs or seeing violence.
I would say like 15.
Yeah.
I think 15. I had my iPod, and that was when I first started seeing like women on social media,
Right.
and like I'm like, oh, I'm 15. Like
Right.
I'm either gaining weight or losing weight, or getting acne,
Right.
or
Going through
all of these
just
things that
escaping puberty.
exactly. And so, and one thing in that show is he called one of the girls, like a group of the boys were calling one of these 13-year-old girl's flat chested.
Mm.
But on his phone, when they went through it for the evidence, he was following all these models
Right.
and like girls with breasts and
Yeah, boob
like
jobs and
boob
shit.
jobs and like curves and everything like that. And it made me so sad because I'm like, she's 13.
Right. Yeah.
She's not supposed to look like that.
No. Yeah.
And I feel like at 15, you know, you see all that and you see people liking it, and you just go down a freaking hallway of like all these things that you're supposed to look like, and it's sad.
Yeah. I think about, like, obviously our generation gets exposed to that stuff because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to think that our parents' generation got exposed to that because of like movies
Right.
and TV shows.
Yeah.
They still could
Letters.
like letters, drawings,
Coding.
but they still could, like, I'm sure like Gen X people have stories of when they like snuck a VHS tape of like an old movie that they shouldn't have watched or something. Right. So, because I'm thinking like, okay, you have a group of 13-year-old boys, and they're like harassing a girl for something that they only even really think about because of the media that they're exposed to. And I'm trying to think like how far in the past do you have to go before you hit a time where kids aren't exposed to that.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily even know if you can do it. Like, you have the Renaissance era and you have like paintings of naked women,
yeah,
like viewed as art nonetheless, but still like in public spaces, yeah, that kids visit that can see it. And so right. I don't know if they're, because I don't know, I was trying to think of a time where it would be,
I mean, it's
something that kids didn't have to go through, but yeah, I can't really imagine if there was a time.
Yeah.
I know, and it's funny, like I don't think I've ever had any of these conversations with my mom. I'm like, when I've gotten exposed to shit. Mm-hmm. And she's like an avid listener.
It's always like you walk in, or like something you're sitting with your parents and you're watching a movie and they're like, don't look.
Right.
And it's like, well, now I want to look because you're telling me not to look. I remember my mom used to always do that. She's like, go in your room.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd be like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm like,
still peeking. Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, my mom would be like, don't look. And I'd be like, it's too late.
I saw it already.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, like, for me, like, I saw a good amount of shit by the time I was in middle school.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because my parents weren't trying hard enough, because they did the best that they could.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop my friends from having iPods or phones or whatever, or PSPs. And so I was, dude, yeah. And so, like, I was exposed to media that I definitely should not have been at those ages. And all of that to say, I think I turned out all right.
Yeah.
And so,
I don't know. Is that like,
whoa, hey.
Again, I don't know. Do this here? But like, is that something you allow them to look at through like a public school or something? And then, you know, you'd hope that like they come home and be like, I saw this today. And then you can teach them or let them know like before they go to school. I don't know, but mm-hmm. it's scary how different like the mind works. Like, you turn out okay, but right. there's probably someone the same age as you who has a terrible like BDSM kink,
right,
and like
right.
likes to
Some
hurt
sort of
women or is a serial killer.
Yeah.
And it's like, where does that
exactly
turn happen? Is that nature versus nurture? Is that just exposed to thing? Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's the thing too, is like, you ask pretty much anyone in our age group, and like the ages in which we get exposed to shit is roughly in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that changes based off of like areas you live in. Like, I'm more or less talking about like the AV. But I don't know, maybe like prestigious kids in Beverly Hills were more sheltered until they hit 18 or something along those lines.
I'm scared people can hear me gulping.
I know, you're fine. I'm honestly kind of surprised to hear that you like lasted until 15 before you like actually got exposed to shit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was 14.
Mm-hmm.
14.
But still high school.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely middle school for me.
Well, my parents were, for the longest time, I had the like cute little little tiny one where you can only listen to music.
Oh, the shuffle?
Yeah, the shuffle. And then I think when I was probably like 14 or 15, yeah, I had an iPod. And then I got Instagram, and I was like, woo. And then that's when I had Kick. And I was like, I should not be seeing these things. And
yeah,
then
my kid's like, on Omegle.
No, literally. And then it was like girlfriends coming over. You know, we're young too. And we're like, let's go on Omegle. And then it's like, that's a penis.
Yeah, penis.
And I am too
Skip
young
penis.
to be seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think literally, like, even in my instance, like, just back before algorithms were a thing, Google was just guessing.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, if I would type something into the search bar, if you're on page 2 of Google Images, you're already hitting porn. Like, it's already fucked up.
I remember we had a family computer. I don't know what was going through my brain. My ass walked downstairs and searched boobs. And I got in trouble for sure. But, you know, I think I was just curious on to, like, what they look like and
yeah,
and whatnot. And it wasn't even, like, in a weird way. I think I was just like, what are these?
Well, there still is that, like, curiosity as a kid prior to even knowing what is or isn't taboo.
Right.
Or even if you do know it's taboo, you kind of want to know why it's taboo.
I'm like, what do these look like?
Yeah, exactly. I remember there was I thought I was gonna get thrown in jail. I thought what I did was so bad that my heart was racing. And all I did was, I was a kid and my mom was taking me around the mall, and we were in some store, and I like looked down the shirt of a mannequin that had boobs because I didn't know what they looked like, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. I think it's missing something. Why
is there 2?
So, men only have nipples. But I remember doing that like really quick and then being like, oh my fucking God, there's cameras in here. I'm going to go to jail.
I'm going to go to jail. Dude, when I was younger, this is like this is probably crazy to talk about on here.
I love it.
Because this is diabolical, but it is one thing I can vividly remember when I was younger. I don't know how old you are when you go to like kindercare or like something like that. It's like an after school thing.
Well, kindergarten,
I was pretty young.
4, I think.
Yeah, I was pretty young, and I remember only because we had gotten in so much trouble, and it's not like I was telling this kid to do anything. Again, I'm like 3, 4. It was me and this little boy under the table, and he took out his wee-wee. And I remember, I don't know what happened. I like did something. I don't know if I yelled or I panicked or someone just looked and the kid's thing was just out. I just remember I got in so much trouble and I was like, it wasn't me. Because I think I don't know. From what I remember was I got in trouble too. I don't even know what for. But I just remember that. And I don't know. It was super random,
funny.
But I just remember, I think that was probably the first time I'd ever seen some genitals in my life.
So remember when I asked how old you were when you got exposed to shit?
3. Insane.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like that is an age where like it's blameless. Like,
yeah,
like no kid is even capable of understanding anything.
Kids walk around naked all the time.
Right, exactly.
And it's like I have kids that I nanny during my travel nannying stuff, and they'll start taking off their pants. And I'm like, we're not doing that. There's like 12 other kids in here. This also, sorry, I have another.
No, keep going. No.
Because my mom works for AMR, so she works like 24-hour shifts and stuff, or I think she's doing 12 at the time. I can't remember. But I was at kindergarten all the time. And there was one kid I hated so much because they were always bothering me. And they took my coloring book that I had brought and colored in it. And so I bit myself to make it look like they bit me. And I cried. And I was like, they bit me. Oh my God, I did it. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to wait for your mom. Like, we got to wait for your mom to pick you up. And we're waiting for his parents. And it's nap time.
What if I get bit again?
And it's nap time. So I didn't want to wait. So I stuck my fist in my mouth and I made myself throw. guess I'll throw up
How
on the
old
mat.
were you?
I don't even remember. Probably like 3, 4 again. 4.
Isn't it so crazy that you could like be diabolical?
Be unhinged at that age.
Be a fucking liar.
I was just born with it, baby.
I think I know what I picked.
It's just in the genes.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. Like, how do you imagine?
They deserved it, okay?
Don't get me wrong. Understandable
Don't
crash
color
out.
in my coloring book. I'm passionate about my arts.
How do you even like? What do you even do as a parent? Like, think about finding out the truth. How do you move forward? Like,
I don't even know. They somehow figured out it wasn't that kid, and
he was missing like 3 teeth.
I know he's toothless,
Yes.
and I'm over here with like full bite marks. I don't even remember. I think that's how. I think they probably looked
At the dental record.
Yeah, but you know what's weird? I was always a weird ass kid. I remember I used to suck on my arms, and like I didn't know what hickeys were.
I had done that too.
I used to like suck on my arms when I was like younger, and my parents would always yell at me, and they're like, "Where did you get this?" And I'm like, "Myself." Like I don't know. I'm just sucking.
Real.
But yeah,
Or said putting in the work early.
gotta learn something about how. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Lisa.
It's past that, dude.
There's still time for forgiveness.
There's still time for forgiveness. Yeah, it's so funny when you go down memory lane like this and you start remembering all these like random ass.
Yeah, like I haven't thought about that
memories.
in years.
Yeah.
It's always been like, you know, like certain conversations just unlock so many memories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I didn't even know I remembered certain things.
Right. Oh god, I could go off about that. This is a fun one. It still relates kind of. What's the earliest age you remember developing like a crush on someone?
Ooh.
Because like I for sure had crushes in 3rd grade. Like that fucking.
I'll show you right now.
My friend Brenda and my friend Hannah. Like I remember that, and then but I think I even had crushes in like 1st grade, kindergarten around then as well.
I don't remember that young. But however old, I was 3, I think, in this. Whoever that was.
Oh, that's so cute.
I was looking at him like I was about to eat that boy up. I don't even know who that was. Watch it be my cousin or something. Oh my god.
Listen, man, being a kid's weird.
I don't know in that sense like how young, but I do remember like vividly my very first middle school crush. That's like the first one that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Solomon. Yeah. Solomon. It was like SOLMON.
Solomon.
Solomon.
You had a crush on a fish?
Apparently, yeah. That's the earliest I can remember, though.
Do you remember elementary school?
I do, but I don't remember developing any crushes then because I think I went to 2 different schools, if I can remember correctly. Maybe 1. But you know what? My whole elementary experience was us doing some like stupid shit. I remember my friends used to go to the bathroom and do Bloody Mary stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they used to tell me there was like stuff in the like sewage vents.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go to the bathroom and they used to like throw things at me and turn the lights off. And I don't remember a boy being involved. I just remember a lot of bullshit going on.
There's a lot of fuck shit going on in this bathroom.
Just like horror stories. I remember I drew boobs for the first time on a drawing. They're like, draw a person. I drew boobs on her. Mrs. Smith's class. And she still knows me to this day because she's friends with one of my dad's wives. My dad's friends' wives. dad's wives is crazy.
One of my dad's wives.
He's not Mormon.
He just does that. Hell yeah, Jim.
This is how my mom finds out.
Yeah, one of my dad's wives. Oh. That is not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I funny enough, my family still has a relationship with my kindergarten teacher, Miss Dace. And yeah, I really don't remember much at all of kindergarten. I remember second grade pretty well, and in terms of like having actual memories that I know are real, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because some of it feels like a fever dream.
Yeah,
I'm like,
did I invent
was that real, or am I just lying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, funny enough. God, was it? I think second grade, maybe second grade or third grade was when I met our friend Vanessa, and it's weird having like memories of the child version of her when I was that age as well.
I didn't even know you met her that young.
Yeah, we went to elementary school together, like way back when. My best friend Jesse at the time had the fattest crush on her, and he'd just like only talk about her when I would hang out with him. Like, dog. I'm sure this will be the last I ever have to do this. But yeah, and I remember God, like getting in trouble for passing notes in class.
Oh yeah.
My fifth grade teacher was obsessed with Greek mythology, and so he would always use the like last like 20 minutes of class to like play a little video about a different Greek myth, and it totally sparked like a huge history nerd side of me that like I absolutely don't think I would have had to the extent that I did if he didn't like inject his own like little personal interests in there.
Right. I think that's always what makes things more interesting in a class with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's and like you said earlier, it's so weird that we have like memories that are locked in our brain that we can't manually open. Like I can't right now remember kindergarten as much as I wanted to. You could put a gun to my head.
No.
But if I came across like if I revisited the same classroom that I had, or maybe a certain smell like right at this
I get that all the
time
with smells especially.
I have this I think I've mentioned it on here before, but like I want to do a time capsule for my future kids.
Oh, that's cute.
And like let's say like I find a candle that I like, and I'll buy like 6 of them, and then purposefully like light them during certain times. Yeah. And then like save one for when they're like 20. And then be like, do you remember this? Like when we lived in the old house?
Right.
And just like head blown off.
Just
their
a Polaroid
shoulders.
of you doing a keg at Dalton's house. Remember this, son?
Remember when Dad was fun?
Why am I holding this like a cigarette? So I'm gonna take the edge off. Sorry.
I was just telling someone the other day how the funniest thing to say after a bad joke is sorry.
Oh my god. That scared me. Fucking, is that Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan was in the window.
No.
I thought about closing the curtains.
Yeah,
and then I didn't.
to now. That is terrifying. I don't need that right now. Just when I was going to ask you about any ghost stories.
Any ghost stories? Yeah, just my roommate. He's pale and white and shows up in the windows.
I need him to go away. It's actually kind of scaring me. It reminds me of
the
the video.
It
reminds me of this
video on Twitter, yeah.
Oh my god. Privacy, please. That's funny. What are we running on? I said, what are we running on?
We just hit an hour, but
Oh,
I was
okay.
I was recording for a little bit,
Oh,
like when we
okay.
were goofing off with the would
Yeah.
you rather's.
It's only 9. I don't know why I thought it was like so much later.
No, we're
9:30
big
now.
chilling, homie. What was the other thing that I had in here? I think it'll be a smooth transition for this. You talked about liking photography when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And recently you've like really kind of ramped it up.
Yeah.
I feel like. When did you actually first start getting your interest in it? Because like this is different than asking like one of my friends who like shoots weddings for
Yeah.
a job or like this is their career. Like this actual... is your like genuine hobby and like you don't put any pressure on it.
You know what? I really don't know. I think it started when I was with my ex-boyfriend. I just loved taking pictures of my friends. I was around different people all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved like capturing memories of them. And I don't know. I always got told like when I take pictures on my phone, they'd be like really cool or really good, or people want me to send them to them because they didn't know they got captured in a certain way or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then my parents actually got me the camera because I said I wanted to kind of get into vlogging.
Mm-hmm. How old were you at this time?
Probably like 18, okay. 19. Yeah. When I was with my ex-boyfriend. Yeah, so I would say like 19. Mm-hmm. I got my camera, and yeah, we would go to like ramen, and it would be like me, my ex-boyfriend, and like our friends. Mm-hmm. And it was like pictures of them getting out of the car, us at ramen, like us walking down the street. Mm-hmm. And I'd edit them, and they'd be like, oh my god, these are so cool, like can you send these to me? And I'm like, for sure. Like, and in my mind I'm like, these just look cool, these just look fun, I'm not right. a photographer in any way. I don't know certain settings in any way, but right. And the the Lumix camera I have that I always like take pictures of you guys on. Mm-hmm. I've had that since I was with my ex-boyfriend, so I've had that since 2019. Mm-hmm. And I just now recently learned like certain settings. Shout out to Manny.
Are you shooting
photographer friend?
Manual?
Yes, because I don't really know too much about the camera still. I just edit them in like my own way that I feel like is fun and for like certain photos. Yeah, I would say at 19, and then we went to the beach that one day with we met like G Whip and all them.
Peanut, yeah,
and there was a couple getting married.
Yeah, I remember
there,
that. Yeah.
And I took a picture of them on my phone, and I was like, oh my god, like that's so cute. And I don't even know if they're ever gonna like see this picture that I have of them. I remember
that when you took that picture.
Yeah, I'm sure they got some through that photographer, but I always feel like it's kind of different from other people's perspective or where you're at in the setting. But and then I just wanted to start taking more pictures of my friends. I also just love taking pictures of everything. Like I don't know. Like I'd be like, oh, this closet pic right here.
Oh, this closet pic.
Closet pic, super aesthetic. I don't know. I don't know. Like no, my brain, that's just where my brain goes.
I relate. I got my first camera when I graduated high school. That was what I chose to spend my graduation money on. And that's the Canon that I still have. And I had a very I don't want to say very big photography phase, but I had a photography phase. And then I took a course at College of the Canyons in photography. Nice. And that was kind of where I learned how to shoot in manual, where you have like your f-stop and your ISO and shutter speed and all of that stuff. And it was enough to get the basics down to where I could go like, oh, if I wanted to take a picture of the stars, I could do that.
Right.
Or people would do like light painting with long exposure shots. But even stuff where if you have a surface that's steady, you can take a picture of running water, and if the exposure is somewhat long, a few seconds, it smooths the water out and it looks like super silky.
Yeah.
And I think I struggled with being the person to take pictures of people. So that led me to take more landscape and object photos. I just like, I don't know. I got so weird with myself when like walking around being like, oh, I'm going to take pictures of people.
I've just accepted it at this point. And
yeah.
I think
And
I'm pretty sure everyone knows that about me by now, where it's like, Maya's always going to be taking pictures of us. Like, I'm always sending you guys, like, look at these pictures I took of you. Even if it's on my phone, I'm like, I just love taking pictures of my friends. Like, I don't know.
Well, and that was like me being an insecure teenager. Whereas like I should have learned to love being that person, and you definitely like were able to like get through that way better than I ever did. Because like there were times like if we had a family function, my uncle would hand me the camera, and I'd still get like weird. I'd be like, oh,
really?
Like, say cheese, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, when we were in Illinois with my family, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm gonna take the picture. I need everyone to do it. And it's like I think my whole family just knows that like Maya's gonna be taking the picture. You better be ready. And I was gonna say something else. My mind just blanked.
Well, I mean, that was you with the family photo the other day at my house.
Yeah. I mean,
like he was trying to set it up on the chair.
Even Tom was trying to tell me like how to take the picture, and I'm like, I know.
You're talking to a master, sweetie.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing.
You're talking to the pro here. Go sit down.
Go sit down. Go look pretty.
Even at emo night the other
Dude,
night,
you had some banger pics.
Well, I don't feel that way. I feel like they were kind of mid because I was just going around snapping. But I have pictures of random people in there.
I thought so. Those two girls, strangers, right?
They just came up to me and they're like, "You're so pretty," and I'm like, "Let me take a picture of you." Like, even there was like a guy and a girl that when we were leaving, she was like the blonde one. Her boyfriend. Yeah. Like, I got a picture of them. A couple of other friends that were there. I mean, people that we were just around, and I took pictures of them and stuff. And I don't even have their Instagrams or anything, but it was just like fun to have those. And I'm sad those girls. I actually really liked that photo. That was like my favorite one out of the bunch I had posted. Like, they're never gonna see that, and so like I don't really know how that changes, but I'm glad I have it, and I'm glad that like it's out there, and it's just fun for me even to like sit and edit them.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a little freeing to have that lack of pressure of. Like, are these people going to see this? Are they going to like it? Are they going to get it? Like, you're like, I'm taking it.
Right.
And then that's kind of full stop.
And most likely they were drunk and probably forgot they even took the picture.
Yeah.
But
Oh, my God. You know the amount of pictures of me that probably exist at emo night alone?
Yeah. I'm so sorry I forgot our Polaroid, but.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. It's just your Polaroid. Yeah. No, I definitely have a like total different appreciation now as an adult for capturing pictures of people. But I do genuinely think particularly with a camera, like you're very good at it.
Thank you.
I think like everyone takes pics or videos of their friends with their phones.
Right.
I mean, that's why I even have a TikTok.
Yeah.
But I always notice that difference between a phone and camera in terms of, I don't know, maybe it's because we grew up with phones. I feel like if I see something and I want to take a picture with my phone, it'll turn out exactly like I think. But when I see something and I want to capture it with a camera, there's usually that like gap where I'm like, fuck, that's not what I'm trying to capture.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But I don't know, like maybe that's like self-imposed judgment or whatnot, but like I see the stuff that you take and I think it's great. I like really liked it. Was just if I remember correctly, I think it was just like one of the normal pictures you took of Dylan
from emo night.
Yeah, and I was like, this is just a great pic. Like, I don't know if it's particularly the editing or the frame of the shot. Yeah, it's just him making a face driving.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, it's just, I don't know, it's so good. And maybe it's just like the use of flash and all of that fun stuff as well.
Yeah, that was like the regular one.
Right.
Unedited.
What do you edit on?
Just Visco.
Really? Classic Visco, dude.
I don't even pay for like the Visco subscription where you can get like extra. I'd be screenshotting that bitch. Where it's like pay for grain, and I'm like no, and I just screenshot it. But I'm hoping to like eventually get to the place where I'm taking enough or a little more skilled enough to kind of purchase something where I can have a little more fun with it and not just
As in editing, or as in
yeah,
like
with like
camera?
editing. Camera wise, I'm not too concerned about.
Right.
I'm not trying
Everything's
to spend
good now.
thousands of dollars
Yeah.
on like I'll take stuff on my phone and edit it and be like, this is
Right.
cool. Like I'm not too pressed about like, oh, this needs to be clear, this needs to be like I just bought a digital camera just so I can literally have it in my pocket and snap pictures of my friends.
Yeah.
Regardless of like how high quality it is.
Right. Have you been introduced at all to the difference between like, I know the file names are different based off of the brand, but shooting in like JPEG versus RAW?
No. I don't even know what that means.
Think of it this way, and I know there's going to be a photographer friend listening, and I know I'm going to butcher this, so please bear with me as the rookie explains to another
Sean
rookie.
and Manny.
I know. Brandon Ponchke's like, but basically, when you are taking a picture, the amount of light / information that goes into the camera is heavily like filtered through, and like a lot of it is discarded in order to make the file size for a JPEG manageable. So
could you look at a picture and be like, oh, this is RAW versus JPEG?
So the difference is noticeable where, so basically think of it this way, like I'll just use bits as a form of information or like data, because I don't know the difference between like off the top of my head if this is like a gigabyte or a kilobyte or something. But let's say if you took a picture and your camera is in the mode to shoot in a JPEG file, each JPEG picture is like 10 bits of information. When you shoot in RAW, it's like 100 bits of information. And so certain pictures can be like half a gig of memory, whereas a JPEG is like a tenth of that. And the difference is when you throw it into a editing software, the one that like blew my mind and was my first real introduction to it was Lightroom.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one.
You can, like, let's say, when like you take a picture, let's say you're like hiking and the trees and the shadows are really weird. It's like super harsh. Right. There's like really bright spots where the sun's getting through the trees, and there's really dark spots because of just like shadowy canopy. You can't really do much with that.
Yeah.
But if it's a raw file,
You're right. When we went to Devil's Punch Bowl,
yeah,
I took those pictures and I was looking at them and I was like, why do these look so funky? And I was like, there's like they look so bright but dark in a weird way.
Yeah, it's like super, like a huge contrast.
Yeah.
Super harsh. With shooting with a raw file, you can work magic.
So is that something you can do on your camera?
Yeah, and it's, you just have to worry about the memory card.
Right.
So it'll fill your memory card up really quickly.
Right.
If you're shooting in RAW versus JPEG.
Yeah.
But if it's super shadowy, like you can turn that super harsh contrast of it's too dark to see anything and too light to see anything, and you can make it look completely normal.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember seeing it and being like, oh, this changes everything for me. And then you can throw something into a more advanced editing software like Lightroom and completely salvage like unsalvageable pictures if you're shooting in RAW.
Right.
Once you shot in JPEG, it's already discarded the 90% of information and kept that 10%, and that's fine for what like we do, like flash photography at emo night. Like I was
gonna say, that's like my main thing with that camera is flash, because I've never really played with the settings to take outside landscape photos.
Yeah, so. But it's more or less like it gives you that flexibility if you have those weird shots where you're like, oh, like this could be so great.
Yeah.
But the lighting was just so bad.
Right.
But it's a lot more manageable. So
yeah,
I think obviously when we're not recording and stuff, like we'll have to go into that and I'll have to show you because it's game changing. But I don't know. I think also, like, do you have a frame of mind or like a mindset for how you notice that something should have its picture taken, if that makes sense?
That's a good
like
question.
your photographer's eye.
No, not really. I don't know. I just see people I love in one room, or like people having fun,
like moments.
and I'm like, oh, like, I want to capture this.
Yeah.
It's not even like, oh, the lighting looks so good right now, I need a pic. I'm just like, they look like they're having fun. It's someone's birthday, or it's like they have a cute outfit on, or
right.
I don't know. It's just where my brain goes, where it's like, I want you to remember this moment as much as I will.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm hoping I can capture that in a way that you do.
Yeah. It's like a slice of life.
Yeah. I would think that's all that goes into my brain with that.
But I also think that you take great pictures of objects or like places. Like I know that it's not as much like landscape or nature that I've seen you do, but like you'll take a picture of like one corner of a building or like a particular table setting.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's kind of going past just a moment.
I think that's more colors for me. And like that I would say is like lighting and I don't know, like greenery or like reflection off buildings or stuff like that. Just like small details I feel like I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Hoping to capture through like my freaking iPhone lens.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I either love it or hate it. Most of the time I love it. But
that's really great.
I don't know, just like small things. Even if I like, you know, see my parents holding hands in the car and it's like my dad's thumb is rubbing across my mom's. Like I have a video of them just like zoomed in with like a song playing in the back, and it's just
that moment,
that little moment, and it's like just like little things like that I always just find endearing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is pretty. I think this is pretty. I want to remember it. So
I don't know. I know that there are like hard cut rules of photography, right? Like rule of thirds, natural framing, leading lines, all that stuff. And that's why I enjoy asking you as someone who's like not like the textbook educated photographer who knows the hard rules. Like you're operating off pure vibes.
Yeah.
And
that's just my life, dude.
Dude,
that's just how I freaking roll.
When haven't I been operating off pure vibes? But and I think that's the thing that has like why I enjoy when we talk about photography every so often is because I think you're really good at it, and I think you also are good at it just because you're following the feeling, rather than knowing like what the elitists think about real photography.
Well, that's
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because like even the pictures I posted with the emo night, like those weren't even my favorite. I really, to be honest, didn't like a lot of them that I took, but I was like, a lot of them were fun.
Right.
We're in the moment. The colors look cool, kind of. I was like, I could play with this and just enjoy it for what it is, because it's memories. Not even on someone's not centered. Someone's, you know, like, I don't know. I just enjoy that everyone gets to see my friends having fun or something we've experienced or something like that.
Yeah. I almost like don't want you to ever learn the rules.
To be honest, it's not something I'm like seeking.
Right.
I don't even watch like TikTok photography photos, how to get your settings on your Lumix you know. I don't care enough.
Yeah.
Like,
you're getting what you want out of it.
I'm just like, this is cool. My friends like it. That's all I really need. That's all I really care about.
Does your camera work with like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth? Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, so it's Wi-Fi, and I have an app that just transfers the photos over.
Oh, that's so nice. That was like, there were two things that got me out of photography.
Yeah.
And it was lugging a camera around all the time and having to operate with an SD card that I had to then plug into a computer that I had to bring over and then put in a Dropbox.
Yeah, I know it's a whole process, but I think my digital camera I got is a SD card, which is fine.
Yeah. But you can hear the sigh.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But I'm excited to just have a small little just a little thing to have on me, because I do love my camera. I do want to learn a little bit more about settings just in general of being outside versus like inside with Flash, because I only really ever use it for Flash. But
summer's coming around.
Summer's coming around, and I gotta learn how to use that bad boy.
And we gotta be outside.
We gotta be outside. The streets are not prepared.
The streets are not prepared.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm not too pressed on it. If I take a picture I like, I'm gonna play with it and see if I like it or not. And if I don't, then oh well.
And do you think that, because we've talked about this, and this is also a topic that I know that we wanted to get into, but more or less like the topic of romanticizing the little things in life, finding like, I don't know if it's even like practicing like appreciation for those minute details or moments, or bringing yourself into the moment to be able to appreciate it. But this is kind of like me asking, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Do you think that you've always had that little like romantic affinity for life?
Yes.
And then photography like naturally came from that?
Yeah. I was always a romanticizer. I've always been like that since I was young. Probably since I started reading fan fiction, to be honest. I'm like, wow. No, but I remember before I even had an iPod, before I was even looking at what other people are doing, I just had my little iPod shuffle nano thing, put my headphones in, we'd be driving through like Mammoth, and I would just think about so many things. And I think about how pretty the trees look and the rocks on this thing, or, you know, I'd walk on our hike with headphones in and just like romanticize the moment I'm in as like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So, and even then I had a Polaroid camera and I was taking pictures with that. And I didn't even have like a iPod at the time. I just had my little Polaroid, my little janky one that I still use. But I don't know. I've just always been like that. I think a lot of it comes from the people I was raised around and just my life in general, and how quickly people can come and go and stuff like that. And, you know, being always grateful for what I do have. And so, especially like once my mom met my stepdad, like our life kind of changed completely, and I was able to kind of even romanticize even more, because I'm like, I've never experienced this. This is beautiful.
Yeah, the novelty.
And so then it was like, it just kind of all went from there.
I think, I know that we've talked about this before, and I know that like we share a lot of the same feelings and views on it. And when I think about it, especially like when we've talked about it, funny enough, I feel like a huge amount of it comes from reading books, and
absolutely,
like most of the time fiction, but even the occasional nonfiction book, if someone has that like spark of life in them when they describe like the person that they're interacting with, you'll still get it. But I feel like for instance, I never read. Actually, I don't read that much anymore. I read on occasion. I think the last fiction book I read was probably Verity. And
hell yeah.
The one before that was The Alchemist. And both descriptive in their own ways. But I just remember I used to read a lot as a kid. I read what was it, the Magic Treehouse? I don't know if
I used to love those.
Dude, yeah,
Magic Treehouse.
I blew through so many of those.
Jimmy Jones used to be my favorite.
Yeah, and I read a lot of the Hardy Boys, which was like there were a bunch of like two brothers that would go on like mystery adventures.
Yeah.
There's a more famous like female version of their character. Like I think it's one person though. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I used to I loved the Percy Jackson books. I read those.
I never read those.
They were a lot of fun. I never got into Harry Potter.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, I had a lot of reading at a good chunk of my childhood, and I feel like that really cemented a lot of my inner romanticism for small little things
Mm-hmm.
because of the way authors would describe them in books. They would talk about like the rough surface on like an oaky
Yeah,
table,
absolutely.
and you would be reading this book and then you'd like kind of bring yourself out of it and you would look at your surroundings with that lens on,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh my god, I can do this anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. The first book I read that got me into reading, which wasn't like my trigger into like romanticizing life, but I think in a romantic way with men specifically, with like lovers and relationships, was The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And that one made me sob, first of all. And I
Mhm.
was reading that in Marina Del Rey on a bench next to the beach. And my parents were like in the fire station talking to like my dad's coworkers, and I don't know what my sister was doing, but I was sitting there by myself and I had my headphones in. And at the time I had an iPod, but I was just reading that book, and it's like I cradled his face and like I felt the rough skin on his like knuckles from like all the
from the hard
sappy,
work.
sappy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
But I think that's what also got me into like viewing my partner in a very like romanticized like way,
Yeah.
where I notice everything, where I'm like, I could tell you how many freckles like Dylan has on his back. Like little things like that, where it's your brain just rapid fires.
Yeah, and it's funny, like when you think about it, the word romantic has lost a lot of its like true origin or like meaning nowadays, because nowadays we just use it to mean like non-platonic.
Right.
It's like, oh, you're either romantic with this person or not.
Yeah.
Or you say like, oh, it was a romantic dinner date, but in reality that usually just refers to like a dim lit nice restaurant.
Yeah.
But it
It's
doesn't
like, life
actually
is romantic.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But
romanticize your own life.
yeah.
It's so fun.
It doesn't like really break through to like that core beauty that like applies to everything.
And it might be like, I hate being this bitch, but it makes you feel like a main character in your own life.
Of course,
not
yeah.
in like a toxic way or weird way, but
well, you
like,
are.
You feel like the main character of your own story. I romanticize even tragic things that happen to me.
Yeah, yeah.
When I'm crying or when I'm thinking about a breakup or anything like that, I'm like, oh my god, I'm in a book. Like, this is a movie.
Oh my god,
it's just a movie.
Me throwing
right now.
up from crying.
But
I'm in a
like,
book right now.
I romanticize like how much I feel. I'm a very sensitive person.
Yeah.
Like, I even romanticize the fact that like I'm able to feel as much as I do.
Right.
Which most people consider a curse. I mean, I've always been told that like I'm too sensitive or like I'm being too emotional and stuff like that. And whether it be a blessing or a curse, like I love it.
You find your purpose.
I love that like I feel so much. I love that like I go out and I see an old man eating by himself and I feel so much for him. I think that's
and
beautiful.
it ruins my day.
Yeah, exactly. I see a dead squirrel on Bouquet Canyon and now, but
yeah,
I don't romanticize that. But
oh, actually, I do remember. You were talking about how like you romanticize even like the bad times. I kind of had a similar experience with my recent breakup and having one of the nights where I was like absolutely sobbing myself to sleep. And I remember like amongst all of it, I was just like, thank God I can feel this.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That is like probably like one of our like biggest differences is like I try to like you embrace your emotions and I try to like put a lid on my emotions and not like in a like conceal, don't feel.
Right.
Like, but like I am like constantly trying to be zen like all the time. And I had that like breakdown moment and it was just such like a nice revisit to sadness. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And just flexing the muscle of that emotion that I hadn't in a while.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. Like that means I'm doing pretty well, like if I'm not constantly flexing the sadness muscle, but life is going to fucking throw you there anyway. And just being in that moment and finding the solace in knowing that things are going to be okay,
Yeah.
but they're not right now.
Right.
And so that kind of gives you just the freedom to just feel it as much as you need to and let it all out,
Yeah.
and know that there aren't any consequences for doing that. And then fucking the other day when I watched Stranger Than Fiction, yeah. If you haven't watched Stranger Than Fiction, it's a weird Will Ferrell movie where it's not a comedy. And I bawled my eyes out at the end. I watched it like by myself Saturday morning. And oh my God, it was another moment where I like actively am crying in the moment and being like, God, this feels so good. Like,
God, I cry at movies all the time. I'm a big baby towards everything. I mean, you guys know me.
mm-hmm.
I'm just very sensitive, but
You have to shield your eyes for roadkill.
Oh, God. Marley and me. My mom. Okay, well, it was my fault, but my dog Marley is named after Marley and me, and oh God, I don't even want to think about that. But I will watch something and literally feel like I am there.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me just break down because I'm like, no. And it can be the most like fictional thing ever. Like this never happened to anybody. Yeah. But I'm like, oh my God. Like, what if though?
What if though? Yeah, I think, I don't know. I revisit, like, coming to this conversation alone, kind of small, but it sparks a little part of me that wants to kind of revisit reading some fiction again. And I don't even know what kind of fiction I would want to get into, because like I know that there's like weird like fantasy and weird sci-fi and all this stuff, and that's not really what I'm looking for per se. Like I'm looking for that like finding the beauty in life type of stuff. Just I don't know, I really love like that descriptive language, even the more metaphor or idiom based language, where someone says something along the lines of like, oh, you know, you're looking at a friend and they have like a laugh that greets you like a warm hug. And just ways that you can describe stuff that you're so used to it's mundane, but it forces appreciation almost.
And I feel like no one talks like that, you know.
No, I mean,
but
you're
like
you're a
in my
weirdo.
brain I'm like, oh my God, you know, her hug was as, like you said, as warm as the sun.
Yeah.
It greeted you like a nice Sunday morning or something. And it's like, nobody talks like that. But in my brain, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
That's how I'm thinking of you right now.
And
you don't even know it.
You don't even know it. I love you so hard. You don't even get it. Like, I'm crying about something that didn't happen about you.
Like the whole like, okay thing from like The Fault in Our Stars. Why was that so inspirational to me? I'm like, okay. And it's like that meant they love each other.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a and it's so funny too, because I hear, being the person who has one tattoo and it's my gag tattoo of
for your temporary tats.
Yeah, that I don't wear. I constantly, when I get in this like romantic mode, will be like, oh, I need that tattoo on my body for the rest of my life. And I had a moment like that. I love when people have really trivial quotes tatted on them. Don't get me wrong, I love the traditional like really big famous moving quotes. But I also love when people have something silly on the surface but holds that really deeper meaning. And there's a quote in Stranger Than Fiction where the main character, Will Ferrell, is talking to his coworker, and Will Ferrell's going through a bit of an existential crisis because he's been this boring businessman his whole life, and he's finally starting to ask himself what he even likes, like what he even wants to do with his life, what matters to him, what is fun or fulfilling. And he asks his coworker that he really doesn't really have any interest in, but he's just grasping for anyone to give him answers. And he's like, what did you want to do when you were a kid? and he was like, he said, what would you do if it was like your last day on Earth? Like if you knew you were gonna die soon, how would you spend your final moments? And not per se last day on Earth, but you knew you were gonna die soon.
Right.
And he was like, he's like, well, when I was a kid, I always wanted to go to space camp. And Will Ferrell's like, space camp? And he's like, yeah, it's where they send you when you're a kid if you want to like be an astronaut when you grow up or whatever. And he's like, okay, but like I'm not asking about when you're a kid. Like, what would you want to do now that you're an adult? Like, and he's like, I don't know, man. I think I'd go to space camp. And he's like, aren't you too old for space camp? Mm-hmm. And the dude looks up from his book that he was like looking at while having this conversation with this most serious face, almost a little sad. And he's like, you're never too old for space camp.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, I'd get that tatted on.
Oh my, you're never too old for space camp. We're always trying to heal our inner child.
And I love it. It's such a fun, like, symbolic theme for the entire fucking movie.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like just rings throughout everything that he does moving forward from there. And like one of the first things he does like is he goes and buys a guitar because he always wanted to like play guitar at some point. And it sounds like super stereotypical and trivial, but when you like remove the like million movies that centered around a guitar, or like kind of just the archetypal, is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Typical cliche around it. And you just look at it for the raw emotion of that moment. It's like, it's.
I need to watch this movie now.
Dude, especially after this conversation.
You're gonna make me cry.
You would love it. It's.
I watched Wild Robot twice and I still cried.
I haven't watched that yet. I want to so bad.
It's not even sad. It's just like cute, and I'm like, ooh.
I won't say why I cry at the end of the movie. I won't say if it's sad or not. And you can't tell throughout the movie if it's going to be a sad cry or not. But
I
it's
like
great.
that. I like that. You know, doesn't give that away. Well, you're not giving that away. Like if you watch the trailer, will you know?
You'll know the premise of the movie, but I think you okay. I'll give this. The premise of the movie is Will Ferrell is a IRS agent, and his whole life revolves around boring taxes, and he starts hearing a voice in his head, and he starts telling people like, I'm hearing a voice, and they're like, you're describing schizophrenia. And he's like, no, it's like not my voice. And the whole premise is that he realizes that the voice he's hearing in his head is an author, and he is a character in someone's book. Whoa. And he can hear the author narrate his life.
Oh, that's cool.
And he runs into a predicament with it and has to go from there. And it's
just Buddy the Elf.
Yeah, so this movie is actually called Elf.
Your dad's not on the nice list.
But it's like a beautiful film about life. And very much so. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why I'm in the mood for this kind of conversation. It's still the after effects of it. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I don't know. And I feel like it's super weird. Have you ever do you remember there was like a brief moment on social media where people were having conversations about what colors they thought certain words were?
Yes.
And so they would talk about like, oh, like Monday is red or something like that, and like November is purple.
Yeah.
And I like, I don't know. You know, I'm like super nerd data science, right. But them motherfuckers were making sense. Dude.
That checks out for sure.
Or like they would talk about like what colors they had to pick for their binders for each subject,
like science
in school.
And history. I think science was. I know math was always blue for me. I think science was red for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
History was green. I don't know what the other ones were.
I remember mine for the most part, and mine math was red, and science was green, and literature was blue, and then history was like yellow or orange.
Yeah, I think history was yellow for me too.
It's such a fun sentence.
I know.
Yeah, history was yellow for me too.
Yeah, history was yellow for me. I like
Everything was gray.
his beard,
his face, his eyes.
This wouldn't make sense. Have you seen the one about like people? What color like people remind you of?
Tread lightly.
Like, you remind me of the color. What do you remind me of? There's so much green right now.
I know. I was like, you're sitting on my green bed with my green curtains.
It's not even fair. It's my color.
I was born first.
Okay, Grandpa. Fine. You remind me of green.
Oh, do I?
All right, guys, this is the end of the podcast. So,
funny enough, I had a major pivot for my favorite color in my life. I was blue for the longest time.
Ew.
And then I realized green was so much better, and I was like,
superior.
And I never looked back.
It's beautiful, and there's so many different shades. Not that there's not different shades of blue, but they're just not as cool. They're not as pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, I realized that so many things in life that I loved or enjoyed or just gave a good feeling were green, and was like, oh my god, I've never had a better reason for that to be my favorite color.
When did that start?
Was it when you walked into my jade bedroom? Or into my sage bathroom?
It's fine. You don't have to own up to it right now, but...
I get it. You're nervous. We're on the air.
We're on the air? Oh, I love that. Oh, my God.
Have you been green the whole way?
Yeah. Since I was... It wasn't like a sage green, though. It was always like a dark green. But you know what? It's because Selena Gomez was my favorite like person ever. And her favorite color was green. And so I was like, you know what? My favorite color is going to be green. And then as I got older, I was like, it's still green. But then I discovered like matcha green and sage green. And it's like sage green. And I even got my mom on sage green. She's like, should we paint this sage green? We want to paint your bathroom.
Yes.
And then, but then she, no offense, Mom. You should.
This is a
you. She kind of like painted it this obnoxious, like yellow green that I think she thought was gonna be like a nice sage green. But then
I picked booger.
They painted the downstairs bathroom this beautiful sage green color, and I'm like, this is the one I wanted. Y'all gave me the boo boo color. It's literally like the color of this.
The Topo Chico?
Or it's like my nail, but like a little more yellow.
Yeah. You really like start to lose all the best shades of green once you put yellow into it. It's like it works so much better with like gray, brown, blue, even fiddling a little with red. But
what about purple? You have purple out.
Maybe that's an undiscovered combination for you to go out and revolutionize. But yeah, once you start adding too much yellow, you go downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, I like a lot of like pastel colors though. Those are very nice and satisfying. I
had a bit of a I guess quote unquote fashion phase when I first started to actually care about my outfits rather than just wear athletic wear all the time like most guys. And
you don't do that still?
What color's my shirt? Say it.
Guys, he's wearing a Speedo.
Speedo?
And a wife beater.
I still have my Jack Harlow outfit
with Adidas.
Make me sound Russian. But I'm wearing
Gymshark
I'm wearing
shorts.
sage green shirt. Thank you very much.
Khakis.
Khakis. But learning how, like, I don't know, just like the different groups of colors for particularly either like the outfit that you put on, and then a couple years later had a bit of an interior design phase. And when I say phase, it just means like what I was watching on YouTube. But it both of those gave me such a huge appreciation for the pastels and like the earthy colors. That's
they're just
the whole
easy to
reason I
match
brought it
with.
up. Yeah, yeah.
And they're just like easy on the eyes, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need like playground blue and red on your outfit.
Ugh.
The face of disgust.
That's my Disneyland face.
I
eat bad food.
It's like the colors of the like indoor jungle gyms at McDonald's.
Dude, I'm sorry, but the Laker colors. Oh
yeah, I cannot believe they.
I wouldn't even want to be
two.
on the team because of that. There's another one. I think it's like orange and blue.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty
Not
rough.
a fan. Is it the Dolphins?
That's like Dolphins do have orange and blue, but they use them more as highlight colors. Boise State is like pure orange and blue. If I remember correctly, their field is blue.
That's disgusting.
And I'm gonna actually confirm that because we have friends in Boise. I'm gonna get checked. So fucking Boise State football field. Yes. Look at this. Look at those colors.
That's rough.
Blue and orange.
That's really rough.
What's the word when they're opposite on the color wheel? Because there's like complementary colors, and then there's.
Don't know actually. Sorry.
I have to Google again.
I could lie to you.
Go ahead.
Make up some word. Yeah, I don't know.
Go ahead. No, spotlight's on.
Turn it off.
When colors are on the opposite of the color
spectrum.
Spectrum. Like panic Googling. Okay.
Panic Google.
Colors on the when colors are opposite to each other, they're complementary.
I thought you said that already.
Yeah, I thought that it was when they're next to each other is analogous.
Is what?
Analogous.
Who would remember that? Those colors are
everyone listening.
Analogous.
Yeah, like analogy.
I don't like that.
Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Monochromatic are made by altering. Jesus.
Blah.
Reading is hard. Altering the saturation of brightness, and then complementary is opposite. So yellow and purple, I believe, are complementary. Blue and orange, and then what? Like.
Sorry, you said yellow and purple are complementary?
I think so. Not in that sense.
They better fucking change that.
Yeah, yellow and purple, blue and orange, red and green. Which is funny because Christmas is a vibe.
Yeah.
Imagine Christmas was
Santa
was
fucking
yellow
ate with
and
that
purple.
one.
Santa ate.
I'd cancel Christmas.
No cookies
I'd
left.
turn Jewish.
I'd turn Jewish.
I'm converting. Do not play with me. That is disgusting. If I had a tree up and there was yellow and purple up there, I'm taking the whole bitch down.
I am the Grinch.
It's just purple. We're Jewish now. Is Jewish even purple? Is that blue?
Is Jewish purple?
What
What
color?
Okay, so I'm gonna hit
It's
you
past
with
my
a
bedtime.
string.
Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna hit you with a string of words. And you're
glitched.
gonna tell me what color they give. First, Jews. Answer. It's giving yellow
Quickly.
and purple.
On air, Maya? On air?
On air.
Oh my god.
Science was always green.
Jews were
Jews were always purple.
No wonder why I didn't pick that color first when I was talking about it. I was like, I had purple for something.
I feel like an entire demographic has dibs on that one. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about time. Let's leave it off on another great note.
Holy shit. Oh, this was fun. This was so much fun. I could have done this by myself, and I'm glad I didn't. I think it would have came off a lot worse if I started saying what color I thought Jewish people were when I was by myself.
Boy.
I promise I won't make it the title.
You gotta cut off because my brain is rattling and I want to keep saying things.
Okay, guys. Thank you for listening. We're wrapping it up here. Appreciate you. Love you. What is this? Episode 16? 17? I want to say it's...
I thought it was 17.
I want to say it's 17. That's like my second favorite number. Hell yeah. If I can find the... It's 17. Yep. I love how everyone listening already knows that it's 17.
This is 17.
Yeah, I'm going to have to listen to me do this. Okay, I'm going to keep talking if I don't shut the fuck up. Thank you for listening. Catch you on next week's. Love you. Bye.